So now we'll get set up for our next guest, who's going to stop by, and James is going to. We have to reconfigure our chairs and our microphones and get everything set up here from two guests down to one. So make sure we're all set and ready to go. There you go. And here's your microphone.
Perfect.
You can hold it if you want because it's kind of high up there.
All right,
so
that'll work.
Might be easier for you.
Perfect.
There you go. We'd like to welcome today Melissa Munez.
Yes.
Melissa, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And well done last night on the PowerPoint roulette, by the way.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
Melissa, we were talking earlier. You would have won. You got disqualified by technicality.
Oh, man.
By not getting to your 10th slide.
Oh.
But I think the audience was in agreement that your session it was the most coherent. It's very impressive. So thank you.
I appreciate
thank
that.
you for being a good sport yesterday.
Oh, but then I talked too much and I didn't make it to the 10th slide.
But it was enjoyable. We enjoyed it.
Good.
So can you take a moment and introduce yourself? What do you do?
Yes. So my name is Melissa Munez. I work in business continuity, disaster recovery. After years of working in the field and managing programs for employers, I'm a independent consultant now. That was not a shift by choice, kind of got pushed into that, but making the best of it and really, really enjoying that. But I mostly have done disaster recovery in the past. I always say I grew up in technology. My first grown-up job was managing a regional data center. I started at that data center loading DLT backup tapes, if we can remember those.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes, I was what we used to call the tape monkey, right? So I would put the tapes in, wait for the backup to be done, and then take the tapes out and put them in the Iron Mountain cases to be sent off. And I eventually started managing that data center. And then after, during the time, for a lot of us that can remember, the data center started consolidating, and I was a part of that transition. So they said, hey, we have this team in Nashville. I was in Phoenix at the time. We have this team in Nashville, disaster recovery. Do you want to go and try it? And I said, well, it's better than not having a job, especially in 2008.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But I fell into disaster recovery and I just love it so much. I always tell people you get to learn a little about the entire company. You get to see how everything works together, how all the groups play together, the different processes that play into one another, and I absolutely love that.
That's why I enjoy this, because you meet people you wouldn't normally meet in the organization. You learn things that you wouldn't normally learn. And a little part of me kind of likes the fact that I can go to the senior vice president or the president and say, no, you're screwed. You're not ready.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the advantages of being a consultant or advisor is, you don't have to worry about climbing the ladder. And if I say this thing, even though it's truthful, will it end my career here? Will I not get promoted here? That's not the goal. I'd like to go back to something you said earlier, that you kind of pushed into this direction. Can you share with us, though, I think like the way you handle that is the essence of resilience. We're seeing a lot of people in our industry right now who are unexpectedly unemployed or unexpectedly looking for something new, and they're very dejected or defeated about it. What I've always appreciated about you, I've only known you a short time since you joined the advisory board.
Yes.
You're always so freaking positive. So I think that mindset though really helped you.
It does.
When there was that bump in the night.
Yeah. Yes.
Share with our audience a little bit about that.
Absolutely, I would love to. So yeah, I always joke. I'll make the joke at my expense. I am stupidly optimistic to a fault. But it does help. In my opinion, I mean, I just have to hope for the best. What else can I do? But it started way back in 2020. I got laid off of a disaster recovery management job that I just was so hopeful for. I was coming into a small startup. I was going to get the opportunity to start a DR program from the get-go. I was so excited. And then, of course, COVID hits. I was furloughed and then eventually laid off. and there weren't a lot of jobs out there, and I struggled, and I was empty nesting at the time. I was going through a divorce at the time, and it just felt like my entire world came crumbling down. But because of those two things, the fact that I was empty nesting and going through a divorce, I no longer had to worry about other people's insurance. So I was able to take the contract gigs that were never on the table before because I had to provide insurance for my family. And so that kind of got me started, again, going to the optimistic part. I was like, well, I got to find the silver lining. That was a silver lining. And so it pushed me into some contract gigs that I would never have considered before. And I started going out there and realizing that I had some great knowledge to share. I had some great experiences, and was able to see that come to fruition, talk to people, realize that my background, my experience was super helpful to people. That was great for the confidence at the time after being furloughed and laid off. But just kept pushing through because really there was no other choice. But yeah, I would say finding the optimism, that silver lining in those situations offered me the opportunity to take some jobs that I normally would have never considered.
Yeah, that's such a positive outlook. And for our audience who may not be in the United States, healthcare costs for a family are staggering. I run a small business myself, and the amount I pay per month for insurance, I would cry if I had to tell you the amount. So I love that, in the face of adversity, you got laid off during COVID and you have all these other things going on in your life, you chose to look at it as, well, now I have the option of not having to how am I going to put insurance for my whole family. I love that outlook. And I think that kind of positivity really speaks to a tenet of resilience.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yes, I'm a believer and have been for quite a few years that you can't get organizational resilience or operational resilience if the people behind it don't have some sense of resilience themselves.
That's a fair point. Absolutely.
Are you going to follow a leader who's demanding resilience, who's a complete scatterbrain? No, whose life is falling apart for there are so many reasons.
Sure.
So I'm not being specific on anything here, but who can't manage, they can't be on time for anything, and they want you to be resilient. It's like, you might want to look in the mirror.
Absolutely,
thing, right?
absolutely.
And if
right?
somebody is that way, they are resilient, and positive like yourself, then you're able to make an impact to these clients and other people that you're working with.
Yes. Thank you for that. Absolutely. I have seen that be the example. And in some of my early jobs, when I started managing that data center, I had some of those folks come and tell me it is your attitude that makes me want to follow you, that makes me want to realize, hey, we might, just like a tabletop with all the injects happening, right? We might be based in that disaster. We lost our air conditioning unit. Our generator didn't kick on like it should have, which are also things that have really happened to me. But they said you're like, okay, here's the next thing. And you did it with such a great attitude that made me realize if she feels okay about this, then I feel okay about this. We're going to work this out. And that attitude to definitely help in those situations.
That's what they say about flight crew. When you're going through turbulence, watch the flight crew. If they're still calm and fine doing their job, there's nothing for you to worry about. If they start freaking out, then do up your seatbelt. Right?
I have got a funny story to tell. So, as I said, I moved from Phoenix to Tennessee, and so all of a sudden we're dealing with tornadoes, something I'd never dealt with before. And then a couple years after I moved, my high school best friend moved from Phoenix to North Carolina. So I was telling her my experiences with tornado warnings and watches and giving her some of the feedback. I was like, look, at first I was really freaking out, but then you start to notice the trends and you're like, okay, I'm okay right now, or no, I definitely need to get in my safe place. And she told me, she said, I figured it out, Melissa. If the weatherman still has his jacket on, then I'm okay. But the moment he takes his jacket off and rolls up his sleeves, I know I need to get in my safe place. And I thought that is hilariously true.
That is so true. Living in Florida, as a hurricane comes closer, or it's here, when the jacket and the tie go, that's,
Yeah.
it's time to
Fair.
stand up and pay attention. So, Melissa, you're a member of the DRJ Editorial Advisory Board. So I'd love to get your thoughts on the DRJ Spring Conference, being our first time in Renaissance here in Cincinnati, and just kind of what you've experienced or seen the last day and a half.
Absolutely. So, just like any other DRJ conference that I've been to, a great group of people, really excited about all the presentations. I will say, we are starting to see more diversity in the group in both age and race and background. So that's wonderful. But also, I just left the AI presentation on the main stage. And so really noting the amount of technology that's coming into both the main stage and some of the breakout sessions. And for being a background in technology, and as much as I love that, I'm really enjoying seeing that. And I'm enjoying that so many people are keeping an open mind to so much of that technology. I am not afraid of AI. I think it's there to help us out. And really got to embrace that technology. But yes, I'm seeing a diverse group of people and a more diverse group of subjects. So that's been great.
Well, I think until the robots start making decisions, we're fine.
Right?
We're okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that shows Leslie Vineyard, who helps at DRJ select the sessions and the speakers, is constantly looking at what's happening in the market and where are there shortfalls, what do we need to talk more about, what do we talk less about, how are things changing, and then to your point in terms of diversity of the audience, you and I are also a member of DRJ's DEI committee.
Yes.
A lot of conference organizers maybe said something about inclusion once and check that box, and Bob has been very thoughtful in making sure that he's aggressively recruiting different types of attendees, different types of speakers, different types of commentary. And I do find this conference the most diverse in our space.
Yes. Oh, I definitely agree.
And
Definitely agree.
that brings an energy too, because you have people with different ages and different thought processes and different experience. I don't want to talk to I don't even want to talk to myself. So I certainly don't want to talk to 500 people exactly like me. I want to talk to 600. I think we have 650 people here that are not like me, and just learn from people all over the world, all different backgrounds. And we met someone yesterday, Alex and I, who's 27, and I love that this 27-year-old here, and I want more people here in their 20s.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We're starting to see more of those people who chose to go into this field because so many of us just fell into it, right? That was how I started my story.
Me too.
And when I'm talking to those people and I'm like, you chose this, tell me about this. How did you learn about it? So that we can continue to reach out to people and get them excited about this. But it is fun to see that.
Yeah, I met someone last week. They're like, "Oh, I got a university degree in business continuity." I was like, "You got a what?"
They have those?
What?
Right?
Like, that's amazing to me. That's so exciting.
It is.
It is. Now, you're doing quite a few speeches here.
I am.
Or presentations,
yes.
sessions.
Yes.
Can you tell us about a couple of those?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, to the point of DEI, so I'm doing 2 presentations that have to do with DEI, and they happen to both be on generations in the workplace. So I'll be doing a main stage presentation that's being sponsored by the DRJ DEI board, and the committee, I mean. And so we've got a couple speakers. We're going to talk about what it means to be, how those generations and continuity, how does that play together? What have you seen? What are the changes? How do you want to see those business continuity plans, disaster recovery plans presented to you? How do those generations affect how we train and make people aware of those things? So I'm super excited about that. And then OnSolve asked me to be a part on their panel on the generations that they're doing. And that one's also super fun. That one's going to be, because it is a breakout, a full 45 minutes, where we get to really dig into the different generations. And along the same lines, though, how do the different generations want to receive information? How do they want to be managed? It was really eye-opening when we did our walkthrough and seeing the different generations. And one of the questions was, how do you how do you want to be how often do you expect to receive feedback from your manager? And it was daily, monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, and how do you want to receive it? And just across the board, just seeing the various differences and how they want to receive. I think that's such valuable information for management and for us to know when we're interacting with different generations.
I have to ask, can you give us a little bit of what were some of the differences there? At
Absolutely.
least one, without
Yes.
giving things away.
Maybe how often do people want to receive feedback?
Absolutely.
Was there one or two that really stuck out?
Yes. So the baby boomers, they want to receive that feedback on a monthly basis. They want to, just basically give me that job. I will go and do it and let me know how it went. I'm good to go. I'm just let me go at it. Gen X, like myself, we want bi-weekly. I want those check-ins. Let me know how I'm doing. I need to, did I do it right? Yes, I have confidence to go and take on that role and make it my own, but also just those frequent check-ins. Okay, so I'm still along the right lines, right? And the millennial, the Gen X, I'm Gen X.
Gen Y.
Gen Y, thank you so much. Really want that spelled out for them, really. They want that weekly feedback. They're used to constant check-ins, and you think about how the constant check-ins with technology, with social media, and how they're getting that. So they really expect that in a job and really lay out what I'm supposed to do. Give me those directions, spell it out, tell me exactly what I need to do. So it was really interesting to see that. And then I started to look, I'm like, okay, my child's a Gen Y. I can see that in her, thinking about interactions with my parents. And it's like, well, that checks. That tracks.
It does. I'm a Gen Xer as well. And I think, James, you are as well. It would drive me absolutely batty if I had a manager giving me feedback so frequently. I would go bonkers. Let me do my job. Go away.
I'm glad you brought up the technology, because we weren't raised with cell phones or Slack or Messenger or chat. So if I had a boss call me every day, I'm getting fired. What's happening? But yeah, we are all now constantly, we've all got our phones here. We're all used to being constantly connected, constantly on. And so that makes sense that it would shorten the feedback for each generation.
Yeah. Another one was, how do we like to be communicated with, right? So the baby boomers are going to pick up the phone.
Correct.
Gen X was kind of mixed.
Yep.
I do prefer an email. And sometimes to a fault. There probably were a couple times I should have just picked up the phone sooner and talked to someone.
Yeah.
But your Gen Y, give it to me in a text or an email. Why are you calling me? Why is this voice coming through?
What's his phone thing?
My youngest son is 17, and the only time he calls me, I know it's not a good conversation. Such to the point that 2 weeks ago he called me, and the first thing he said was, "I'm not in trouble." Because he doesn't call me. I get a text, right? So yeah, I totally understand that.
And you know what? I would be remiss to not point out my own breakout session that I'm doing, where I'm talking about transitioning to cloud documentation. So as I talked about in the beginning with my intro, I started out in the data center, and I watched that data center go from those old Data General machines to some blades, and we had SAN and all that emerging technology. But that's where my knowledge of documentation comes from. That's where my knowledge of technology, when I would go and talk to the Wintel team, the Unix team, the mainframe team to document those DR plans. And now so much of that is in the cloud. And so I know I'm not the only one that's having a difficult time with that transition. And I give this in my introduction when I give my breakouts. But what prompted that is one of my recent clients. It's a fintech company. They got a write-up from the FFIEC that they needed to document all of their DR plans. So they had a hybrid environment. They did have a own data center where they had some equipment, and then they had a lot of their stuff spread out among Azure and AWS. So I met with the cloud guy and right up front, and I knew he was going to help me out with a lot of the applications. And I said, look, I know technology, I know the terms, I can learn real quick, but you are going to have to teach me some things. And he said, well, that's perfect because I'm trying to learn more about our on-prem stuff. So we were teaching each other and making comparisons. Oh, that's what used to be the SAN. And that's what, oh, I see, you compare it to this. So that's how I do the presentation about actually doing the comparison. Hey, those of us that used to be in the data center, the storage is now what you think of in the, containers and that type of stuff. So really do that comparison, and I'm excited for that one.
Well, great. I hope it all goes well for
Yes.
you, and I'm sure it's going to.
Yes, thank you.
That positive energy of yours will come off on the stage. I know
Perfect.
it will. Thank you for joining us, Melissa.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank
James,
you.
did you have a final question or
No, I
comment for
just,
Melissa?
you're the PowerPoint roulette people's champion.
Oh, yeah.
General session speaker and 2 breakout sessions. That's a very good
Yes,
team. That's a very
it really
impressive
has been.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you both.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Melissa. Take care. And that was Melissa Munez talking to us about her presentations and some of the activities that she's involved with, and also how good last night she was at our PowerPoint roulette. James, we're coming to the end of our first segment already. The time is flying by.
I can't even believe it's 11:46.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. So we want to thank our sponsor for this hour, Speak and Spark. They are the Speaker Bureau Marketplace, connecting event organizers with speakers in resilience, cybersecurity, and human resources. Their mission is to connect audiences to experts, which sparks a conversation. Thank you, Speak and Spark.
Thank you, everyone at Speak and Spark. Thank you to our guests for this hour. We're going to take a quick 10, 15-minute break, and then we will be back with our next round of guests. If you like that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.